Oh my God, I can't even. I just read for 20 minutes and discovered that I forgot to hit the record button. I set the phone up. I made sure I wasn't too close, whatever. And then I started reading. I never hit the record button. Like, really? So now I'm gonna do it all over again. But that's okay, because I will have read through it once. So maybe I'll sound a little better or something, I don't know. But anyway, here I am, even though I'm not really here. I'm actually fishing. But yeah, we don't have time to mess around. So I postponed the quiz, as I promised you, and I am going to read. And I'm gonna begin, hopefully, at or before where you left off yesterday. Not everybody was in the same spot. I'm just kind of anticipating that because it's actually only third period and I only read one class. But I'm anticipating that you all won't be in the same spot. But so you might have to go back like a little bit. But I'm gonna read and you're gonna answer the questions and we're gonna move forward and we're gonna be finished with this next week. And then we can start Othello, which is really exciting. So follow along, answer the questions, be nice to Mrs. Snell, and have a good day. I finally say to her one day, "Madame, if you don't mind me asking, why do you need all this makeup? You no longer act now." She looks me in the eye. We people who work in films become very vain. We get so used to seeing ourselves in makeup that we no longer have the courage to look in the mirror and to see our real faces. Remember, an actor is an actor for life. Films may end, but the show must go on. I wonder whether she said this from her heart or just recited some lines from a film. Something truly wonderful has happened today. Maji has died in her sleep, aged 81. Remember, that's Naylima's mom, who's very, demanding to Ram. Naylima weeps a little, then gets down to the practical business of making funeral arrangements. It seems as though almost the entire film industry comes to her flat to offer condolences. She sits stoically on a sofa in the drawing room wearing a white sari and light makeup. I recognize many of the people who come. There are actors and actresses and directors and producers and singers and songwriters. The drawing room is overflowing with visitors. I crane my neck to catch a glimpse of the famous stars whose pictures I have seen in Starburst and whose films I have seen on the screen. I wish Salim could be here with me, but he would be disappointed because the visitors don't look like the glamorous stars we see on screen. They're not wearing makeup and flashy clothes. They are all clad spotlessly in white and look grim and somber, even those who are famous for comedies. I don't know how Naylima took her mother's death, but to me, Maji's departure from this world felt like a welcome relief after a depressing film. Within a month of Maji's demise, Naylima asked me to become a live-in servant. She knows that Salim is staying with me in the chawl, so she continues to pay rent for Salim's room. I shift to her flat, but I'm not put in any of the 4 empty bedrooms. I'm given a tiny ironing room. I notice that after Maji's death, Naylima begins to go out more frequently, at times not even bothering to return at night. I am convinced she is seeing someone. Perhaps there will soon be a marriage. I am wakened by a scraping noise coming from the direction of the drawing room. The sound is quite faint, but sufficient to disturb my sleep. I rub my eyes and I look at the alarm clock by my side. It says 2:30 a.m. I wonder what Naylima is doing, pottering around about the flat at this hour. Suddenly I realize that her lover might have come to visit her, and I get all excited. I tiptoe out of the room and I move toward the drawing room. The room is in darkness, but there is a man there. He doesn't look like a lover. He wears a black mask over his head with slits only for the eyes. In his left hand, he holds a black sack. In his right hand is a flashlight, which is pointed at the VCR. He quickly disconnects the cables, picks the VCR up, and inserts it in his black sack. I know now that he is no lover. He is a thief, and I scream. It is a piercing scream which shatters the silence of the night like a bullet. It wakes up Naylima Kumari, who comes running to the drawing room. It completely unsettles the thief, who drops the sack and the flashlight and covers both his ears with his hands. It shatters the glass figurine which was poised delicately on top of the television cabinet. "What is the matter?" Nailima asks breathlessly. She switches on the drawing room light. Then she sees the thief and lets out a scream too. The thief has almost gone deaf by now. He falls down on his knees and begins pleading with us. "Please, madame, I am not a thief. I have just come to look at your house." "Ram, bring me the phone. I will call the police immediately," Nailima tells me. I bring her the cordless phone with alacrity. The thief tears off his mask. He is a youngish man with a goatee. "Please, madame, please don't call the police. I beg you, I'm no thief. I'm a final year student at St. Xavier's. I'm one of your greatest fans. I have come to your home only to see how you live." I notice that Nailima softens visibly on hearing the fan part. "Don't listen to him, madame," I warn her. "This fellow is a thief. If he's a fan, why has he stolen our VCR? "I'll tell you why, Nailima Maji. I have purchased cassettes of each and every film you have acted in, all 114 of them. I watch at least one of your movies every day. Due to heavy use, my VCR has become defective. I am having it repaired. But I cannot bear to pass a day without watching one of your films. So I thought I would take one of your VCRs. Just the fact that I am watching a movie on your VCR will make the experience so much more memorable. I was going to return your VCR when my own comes back from repairs. Please believe me, madame. I swear on my dead father. I'm not lying." "This is all a lie, madame," I cry. "You better call the police." "No, Ram," says Nailima. "Let me first test whether this man is indeed telling the truth. If he's seen all 114 of my films, then he can answer a few questions." "Okay, mister. Tell me which film I played the role of a village girl called Shandi." "Oh, how can I forget that, Nailima Maji? It's one of my favorite films. It is Back to the Village, right?" "Right, but that one was too easy. Tell me, for which film did I get the Filmfare Award in 1982? "That is even easier. For The Dark Knight, surely." "My God, you're right. Okay, tell me in which film did I act with Manoj Kumar?" "It was that patriotic film, The Nation Calls." "Oh, you even saw that one?" "I told you, Nailima Maji, I am your greatest living fan." "Tell me, why did you agree to do that 2-bit role in Everlasting Love? I always thought the director underutilized you." "It's amazing you asked me about Everlasting Love. I too feel that I shouldn't have done that role. All the credit for that film's success went to Sharmia, and I got a raw deal. But you were fantastic in It's Raining Over Bombay. I think the monologue that you deliver in the temple after your father's death is the most memorable scene in the whole film. You really should have got the Filmfare Award for it, but they gave it to you for Woman instead." "Yes, if I were to choose between Woman and It's Raining Over Bombay, I would probably also choose the latter. But I must say, you know a lot about my films. What is your name?" "My name is Ranjit Mistry. I am 24 years old. I have always wanted to ask you about Mumtaz Mahal, which I consider to be the greatest film ever made. That childbirth scene when you were dying and Dilip Sahib, who plays the emperor, is sitting by your bedside. You ask him to make a promise, and then you take off your gold bangle, but you never give it to him. Why'd you do that?" "That is amazing. You have gone into the minute details of that film. I will tell you the answer. But why are you sitting on the ground? Come, sit here on the sofa. And Rob, what are you doing standing with a phone in your hand? Can't you see we have a guest in the house? Go, get 2 cups of tea and some biscuits." So as I was telling you, when Mumtaz Mahal was being conceptualized, by the time I return with the 2 cups of tea, Nailima and the thief are laughing and sharing jokes like 2 long-lost friends. I shake my head in disbelief. This man had come to rob her, and just because he has seen a few of her films, she feeds him biscuits and tea. What started out as a thriller has turned out to be a family drama. She calls me one evening. "Ram, I want you to shift to the Chal tomorrow, just for a day. I need privacy in the house." "But why, madame?" "Don't ask questions," she says in an irritated voice. "Just do as I tell you. These instructions are given to me 3 times in the next 3 months. I know that when I am away, she will entertain her lover in the house, and does not want me to know about it. So the next time she tells me to stay in Ghakhapar and return the next day, I do not follow her instructions fully. I go back to Ghakhapar for the night, but instead of returning at 7 a.m. in the morning, I come back at 5 and hang around outside the flat. Sure enough, at 6 a.m. the door opens and a man steps out. He is tall with a decent face, but his bloodshot eyes and scruffy hair spoil the look. He is clad in blue jeans and a white shirt. He holds a sheaf of currency notes and a lighted cigarette in his left hand and twirls some car keys in his fingers.
He seems vaguely familiar, but I cannot place him. He does not even glance at me before he walks down the stairs to the ground floor. I enter the house only at 7 a.m. I get my first shock on seeing the condition of the drawing room. There are cigarette butts and traces of ash everywhere. An upturned glass lies on the center of the table, together with an empty bottle of whiskey. Peanuts are scattered all over the carpet. There is a strong smell of alcohol in the room. The second shock is on seeing Neelima Kumari. She has bruises all over her face and a black eye. "Oh my God, madame, what happened to you?" I cry. "Nothing, Rob. I slipped from my bed and I hurt myself. Nothing to worry about." I know she is lying. That man I saw leaving the flat has done this to her, and in return, she has given him cigarettes, whiskey, and also money. I feel pained and angry and powerless to protect her. From that day, a subtle change comes over Neelima. She becomes more introverted and withdrawn. I think she starts drinking whiskey because I often smell it on her breath. One morning, I find her again with a black eye and a cigarette burn on her arm. I can bear it no longer. "Madame, I feel very sad seeing you in this condition. Why is he doing this to you? Who is doing this to you?" I ask her. She could have said, "It's none of your business," but she was in a reflective mood that morning. "You know, Rob, someone has said that it's better to have loved than lost than to have never have loved at all. And I wonder at times if this is true. I too have loved. I don't know whether I have lost as yet, but I have received a lot of pain. There is a man in my life. Sometimes I think he loves me, sometimes I think he hates me. He tortures me, slowly, bit by bit." "Then why don't you leave him?" I cry. "It is not that simple. There is some pleasure even in pain, a sweet ecstasy. Sometimes I feel if pain can be this sweet, how exquisitely pleasurable death will be. When he tortures me with a cigarette butt, I don't want to scream. I want to recite those memorable lines from my film Woman, the death scene. 'Oh life, how fickle you are. It is death which is my real lover, my constant companion. Come, death, take me in your arms. Whisper the sweet sound of silence in my ears, and waft me away to the land of eternal love.'" "But that was just a film, madame," I plead with her. "Hush, have you forgotten what I told you once, that an actor is an actor for life? Don't forget that I will forever be known as a tragedy queen. And I didn't become tragedy queen by just reciting lines given to me by a scriptwriter. I lived the life of my characters. Galib didn't become a great tragic poet by writing some lines in a book. No, you have to feel pain, experience it, live it in your daily life before you can become a tragedy queen. If this is the criteria, then can I become a tragedy king?" I ask with the wide-eyed innocence of a 12-year-old. She does not answer. Neelima is giving an interview to a journalist from Starburst in the drawing room. I enter with a tray of gulab jamuns and samosa. "Okay, Neelimaji, we have talked about the past. Now let's come to the present. Why'd you quit films?" I watch closely as the journalist fiddles with a tape recorder. She's quite young and rather striking looking, with fair skin and shoulder-length black hair. She is wearing smart black trousers with a printed curdy and high-heeled black pumps. Because they no longer make films like they used to. The passion, the commitment is gone. Today's actors are nothing but assembly line products, each exactly like the other, mouthing their lines like parrots. There is no depth. We did one film at a time. Now I find actors rushing to 3 different sets in a day. It's ridiculous. Neelima gestures with her hands. "Well, pardon my saying so, but I heard that part of the reason you quit was because you were not being offered any roles." Anger flares up on her face. "Who told you that? It is a complete lie. I was offered several roles, but I turned them down. They were not powerful enough. And the films weren't heroine-oriented." "What you mean is that you were not offered heroine roles anymore, but those of elder sister or aunt. How dare you disparage me and my work? I must say, even the journalists of today have lost their manners. Can't you see the awards and trophies lining the shelves? Do you think I got these by not acting? Do you think I earned the sobriquet of tragedy queen by singing around in the trees like today's 2-bit heroines, looking like a glorified extra? But we are not talking about your past career. I know exactly what you're talking about. Please, leave this instant. Ram, show this lady out and do not open the door to her ever again." She stands up and walks out of the room in a huff. I escort the bewildered journalist to the door. I'm unable to figure out whether this was a comedy, a drama, or a tragedy. Whew. There were many framed pictures in Neelima's flat, but all of them show only her. Neelima receiving some award, Neelima cutting a ribbon, Neelima watching a performance, Neelima giving an award. There are no pictures of any other movie stars except for 2 framed pictures in her bedroom. They are of 2 beautiful women, one white, the other Indian. Who are these women? I asked her one day. The one on the left is Marilyn Monroe, and the one on the right is Madhubala. Who are they? They were both very famous actresses who died so young. So why do you keep their pictures? Because I also want to die young. I don't want to die looking old and haggard. Have you seen the picture of Shaquilla in this week's Film Digest? She was a famous film star in the 50s. It must be 90 now. See how old and desiccated she looks? And this is exactly how people will remember her after her death, as old and wrinkly and haggard. But people always remember Marilyn Monroe and Madhubala as young, because they died young. The lasting image of people have of you is how you look at the time of your death. Like Madhubala, I want to leave behind an image of unspoiled youth and beauty, of everlasting grace and charm. I don't want to die when I'm 90. How I wish at times I could stop all the clocks of this world, shatter every mirror, and freeze my youthful face in time. A strange sadness spreads through me when I hear this. In a way, Neelima is an orphan, like me, but unlike me, she has a larger family, her fans, producers, and directors. And she's willing to make the ultimate sacrifice for their sake, so that they can remember her forever as a young woman. For the first time, I feel lucky that I am not a film star. A famous producer is coming to the house. Neelima is very excited. She believes he will offer her a role, and she will get to face the camera once again. She spends the entire day applying makeup and trying on various outfits. The producer comes in the evening. He is short and bald, with a bulging tummy. I am told to bring in gulab jamuns and samosas and sherbet. It is a great role for you, Neelimaji, the producer is saying. I have always been one of your greatest fans. I saw a woman 15 times. That death scene, oh my God, I could die seeing it. That is why I am resolved to drag you out of your retirement. This film, for which I've already roped in a top-level director, is a woman-centric film. I'm offering you a fantastic role. You guys think she's going to be the heroine? The hero of the story? Who is this director, and who would be contracted? It's Shimpu Dwan, but isn't he a comedy film director? So what? Anyway, there will be some comedy in this film. For the lead roles, I've already signed up Shakira Khan and Taboo. I don't understand, you've already signed a heroine? So will you have 2 heroines? No, not at all. Then what will Taboo do? She is the heroine. So what role are you offering me? Oh, didn't you understand? I am offering you the role of Shakira Khan's mother. Yikes. She kicks him out of the house, then and there. The producer leaves, frothing at the mouth. Spoiled B-word? What does she think? She still fancies herself as a heroine? Has she seen herself in the mirror? She's lucky I didn't cast her as a grandmother. I thought this was a good comedy scene. Her lover has visited her again, but this time, things are more serious. She's in bed with a deep cut above her left eyebrow, and her cheek is swollen. She has difficulty speaking. We must call the police, madame. Have that swine arrested, I urge her, as I apply antiseptic ointment to her bruises. No, Ram, I will be all right. At least tell me his name. She laughs hoarsely. What good will that do? Don't worry, that man is never going to come here again. I finally broke it off with him. That is why he did this to me. If he ever comes back, I will spit on him. And how long will you suffer in silence? Look at what he's done to your face. It is the destiny of a woman to suffer in silence. And what he has done to my face is nothing compared to what he has done to the rest of my body. Do you really want to see? Then look. She unfastens the buttons on her blouse and snaps open her bra. I see a woman's naked breasts for the first time in my life. They are large and pendulous and hang down like udders on a cow. I recoil in shock when I see the cigarette burn marks all over her chest, looking like little black craters on the smooth white flesh. I begin to cry. She's crying too. I do not want to live with a mask anymore. I've had enough facelifts, taken enough beauty aids. I want to be a real woman for once in my life. Come to me, my child, she says, and draws my face into her chest. I do not know what Neelima Kumari was thinking when she drew me to her bosom. Whether she saw me as a son or as a lover, whether she did it to forget her pain or simply gain a cheap thrill. But as I nuzzled my face between her breasts, all the consciousness of the outer world ceased in my brain, and for the first time, I felt as though I was not an orphan anymore, that I had a real mother, one whose face I could see, one whose flesh I could touch, and the salty taste of my tears merged with the sweat and scent of her body in the most moving experience of my 13-year-old life. And all the pain and suffering, all the insults and humiliation I had endured over the years melted away in that moment. I wanted to stop all the clocks of the world and freeze that moment forever. For though it was all too brief, even in that short span of time, it produced a sensation so genuine, no amount of acting can ever aspire to replicate it. That is why I will not attempt to define this episode as a drama or a thriller or a tragedy. It was beyond any and all genres. Nalim and I never speak again about that morning, and what happened then never happens again. But both of us live with the knowledge that our lives have been altered irrevocably. She wants to remove her mask, but does not have the mental strength to do so, and she refused to take my help. The inevitable destiny of a tragedy queen tugs at her with renewed urgency. She becomes more depressed. Her drinking increases to such an extent that she is hardly conscious of the world around her. She dismisses her maid and cook. I am the only one left in the flat. And then she prepares for the greatest role of her life. Nilima Kumari asked me to stack all the film magazines with her pictures neatly in a pile. She arranges all her trophies and awards personally, putting the Platinum Jubilee ones in front, followed by the Golden Jubilees and the Silver Jubilees. She wears her most expensive sari and puts on her finest jewelry. She spends 3 hours in front of the mirror making her face look the best it has ever looked. Afterwards, she flushes all her cosmetic creams down the toilet. She goes to the medicine cabinet and throws away all her beauty aids. Then she opens a jar containing painkillers prescribed for her mother. I don't know how many of these tablets she gulps down. Finally, she enters her bedroom and inserts into the VCR the cassette of her film, Mumtaz Mahal. She sits down on the bed and presses the play button on the remote. The film begins on the TV screen. She orders me to get vegetables from the market and settles down to wait. I find her the same evening on my return from the market, looking like a beautiful new bride, sleeping on the bed. But I don't have to touch her cold skin to know that she's dead. In her hand, she holds a trophy. It says National Award for Best Actress, awarded to Miss Nilima Kumari for her role in Mumtaz Mahal, 1985. What I see before me can only be described as the height of drama. I gaze at Nilima Kumari's body, and I do not know what to do. The only thing I am certain of is that I will not go to the police. They are quite capable of pinning the blame on me and arresting me for the murder. So I do the only logical thing. I run away to the Chawl in Ghatkapar. "Why have you come here?" Salim asked me. "I have been dismissed by Madame, just like she dismissed the maid and the cook." "What will we do now? How will we pay rent for this Chawl?" "Don't worry, she has already paid advance rent for the next 2 months. By then, I am sure I will get a new job." Every day that I stay in the Chawl, I fear that a jeep with a flashing red light will come to take me away, but nothing happens. There is also no news in the papers about Nilima Kumari's death. Meanwhile, I get a job in a foundry. All right, I'm gonna have to stop there and edit in the rest. All right, I'm back. Foundry, yeah. They discover her body after a month, and only then because one of the neighbors complains about the smell. So they broke open the door and enter. They find nothing in the drawing room or on the first 4 bedrooms. Then they discover a rotting corpse in the master bedroom. The sari looks new, the jewelry sparkles, but the face and the body have decomposed beyond recognition. They cart away the body with white masks on their faces, and they dump the trophy in the dustbin. They confirm her identity only from her dental records, and when they discover who she was, they published a picture of her rotting body on the front page of all the newspapers. Yikes. Nilima Kumari, famous tragedy queen of yesteryear, has committed suicide. She was 44. Her badly decomposed body was discovered in her flat only after a month. Now this, I call a real tragedy. Smita lets out a long breath. No wonder film stars are neurotic. You know, I've seen Mumtaz Mahal, and I too have always wanted to know the mystery behind that gold bangle. I wonder what Nilima Kumari told that thief. Unfortunately, that will remain a mystery. Now, are we all just going to talk about Nilima Kumari, or shall I tell you what happened next on the quiz show? With a reluctant expression, Smita presses play. There is a flurry of activity inside the studio. We are in the middle of a long break. The producer of the show, a tall man with long hair like a woman or a rock star, is busy conferring with Prem Kumar in a corner. After he leaves, Prem Kumar gestures me to join him. Look, Mr. Thomas, Prem Kumar tells me, you have done fantastically well on the show. You are sitting pretty with $1 million rupees in your kitty. Tell me, what do you intend to do now? What do you mean? I mean, are you going to just walk away, or will you play for the billion rupee prize? Remember, it's play or pay now. Well then, I'm going to walk away. I've been lucky up till now, but my luck might just be running out. Now that would be a real pity, Mr. Thomas. We think that if you go on to win this quiz, you can become the biggest role model for the youth of our country. So we in W3B have decided to make it easier for you to win. You remember how I helped you on the second question? If I had not changed the question for you then, you would have been out without even a rupee in your pocket. I want to do the same for you on the next 3 questions. I promise you, if you agree to go into play or pay, we will help you win, because we want you to win. It will be the best thing that ever happened to our show. What kind of questions do you have in mind? It doesn't really matter, because we will secretly tell you the answers beforehand. If you could trust me on question number 2, I'm sure you can trust me on questions 10, 11, and 12. So do we have a deal? Well, if you're guaranteeing my victory, I can hardly say no. So tell me, what is the next question? Excellent, Prem Kumar claps his hands. Billy, he tells the producer, Mr. Thomas has agreed to go into play or pay rounds. He turns back to me and whispers, okay, let me tell you about the next question. I'm going to ask you, what is the length of the Palk Strait between India and Sri Lanka? The choices are going to be A, 64 kilometers, B, 94 kilometers, C, 137 kilometers, and D, 209 kilometers. The correct answer will be C, 137 kilometers. Have you understood? Yes, but how can I be certain that's the correct answer? Oh, don't you trust us, Mr. Thomas? Well, I don't blame you. After all, we're talking about $1 billion rupees here, so I'll prove it to you. Here, look in this book. I'm sure you can read numbers. He pulls out a diary which has a page upon page of questions and answers like a quiz book. He jabs at a question. It is the same question that he has asked me, and it has the same answer, 137 kilometers. Are you satisfied now that I'm not going to pull a fast one on you? I nod my head. Okay, you better return to your seat, and I will join you in a second. The signature tune comes on, and the studio sign says applause. Prem Kumar addresses the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at a historic crossroads in our show. We have with us a contestant who has reached the magic figure of 1 million rupees. Now he has to decide whether he goes to compete for the top prize or retires from the game. The moment of truth has arrived. Mr. Thomas, what is your decision? Will you play to win or will you run? Do remember though, that if you play, you risk losing all that you have won until now. So what do you say? He smiles at me reassuringly. I will play, I say softly. Excuse me, says Prem Kumar. Could you say that a bit louder, please? I will play, I say loudly and confidently. There are gasps from the audience. Someone says, oh my God. Another says, what an idiot. Is this your finally irrevocable decision, says Prem Kumar. He smiles at me again. Yes, I say. Then we have made history, ladies and gentlemen, Prem Kumar exults. We have with us a contestant who is prepared to risk it all. We had one other contestant before who risked it all and lost. We will see today whether Mr. Thomas can create history by becoming the winner of the biggest prize in history. Okay, so we are ready for the final 3 questions in play or pay. Please give him a big round of applause. There is a crescendo of drums. Play or pay flashes on the screen. The audience stand up in their seats and clap enthusiastically. After the music dies down, Prem Kumar turns to me. Okay, Mr. Thomas, you have won 1 million rupees, and you are in the sudden death round, which we call play or pay. You will either win $1 billion or you will lose everything you have earned till now. So question number 10, for 10 million, yes, 10 million rupees is coming up. Here it is. Neelima Kumari, the tragedy queen, won the national award, but this is not the question. Please, Mr. Thomas, don't interrupt me in the middle of the question. Let me complete, he says sternly. So as I was saying, the question is, Neelima Kumari, the tragedy queen, won the national award in which year? Was it A, 1984, B, 1988, C, 1986, or D, 1985? I glare at Kumar. He smirks. I understand him now.
What he told me in the break was a trick to lure me into this round, but he has not reckoned with my luck. It's still holding. I know the answer. It is D, 1985.
This is a story that was at the school.
What? Prem Kumar is thunderstruck. He's so surprised that he even forgets to ask me whether I'm 100% sure. He presses his button mechanically and the correct answer flashes. It is D. Prem Kumar looks as though he has seen a ghost. Mr. Thomas has just won 10 million rupees, he stammers, completely flustered. The audience goes wild. Everyone stands up and cheers. Some people start dancing in the aisles. Prem Kumar wipes the sweat from his forehead and takes a big swig of lemonade. What should have been a tragedy has become a farce. Oh, that was a good one. All right. So, you can take the rest of this time to answer the questions. And I'll see you tomorrow. And remember, Friday, that's tomorrow, is an independent reading day. So bring your independent reading books. And journal entry number 7 is due at the end of class. So long.